Hi guys, welcome or welcome back. Today's video is going to be about managing anxiety around your parents. So let's just get on into it. Dealing with parents can be really challenging actually, especially when you're figuring out anxiety for yourself. It leaves you feeling vulnerable, it leaves you feeling trapped often, and parents sometimes can't be that understanding. They want to be there most of the time, they want to help you, but anxiety is something that, unless you've experienced it yourself, it's really hard to understand. Because ultimately, it's fear, right? How can fear be so debilitating that it makes you feel sick, it makes you dizzy, it makes you sweat, it stops you living the life you'd want to lead? Explaining anxiety to your parents can be really hard, and the ways in which you can do so often vary parent to parent. You know, some people have really great open relationships with their parents where they can just say whatever they need to say, talk about everything, and get through it. However, often those people don't actually have anxiety. That's because they don't feel trapped, right? Anxiety often stems from feeling overwhelmed. If you're stressed at home and you feel trapped, like you can't speak about what's bugging you, you are likely to become overwhelmed pretty quickly, which is when you end up feeling anxious around your parents. Ultimately, you want to feel okay around your parents, especially if you're living at home. Hopefully, these tips will help. Tip number 1, tell them how you feel. Now, that might mean sitting down, having a conversation with them, or it could mean writing them a letter. It really depends on your relationship with your parents, how you feel like speaking. If you have a face-to-face conversation, it's really important that it's when you're not feeling anxious, right? You want to be as calm as possible. You want to make sure that you can articulate yourself exactly how you want to so that they can understand the best way. If you feel that they won't listen to you properly or they won't hear you out, then letters are better because you can say exactly what you want. You can reread it, rewrite it as many times as you want to, and then give it to them to read. And they can absorb that in their own time rather than it turning into some kind of conflict. Tip number 2, have your own kind of sanctuary. Now, I've done a whole video on how you can make your room into your sanctuary so that you have a place to relax. But when living at home, it's really hard, and sometimes your parents just don't get it. Sometimes they will just say, well, just get over it, just deal with it. It's not that easy. We know that. They don't necessarily know that. So if you can create a safe space in your room that if you need to, you can just disappear for a little bit. Tip number 3, try and see a therapist together. Going to counseling creates a safe space for everybody, right? And counselors help in that sense of being able to communicate clearly. They'll ask questions that will provoke the right kind of conversations. Whereas without a counselor, without a therapist, you might notice that conversations are unproductive or they even turn into full-blown arguments. Having somewhere where you can go and have a guided conversation, that can actually make things so much better. I understand that often it's not easy to convince parents to go to counselling, and in that sense, see if you can kind of speak to your school or even your doctor about having counselling for yourself, because they can guide you into like a healthier situation as best as possible. Everybody's situation is different, everybody's options are different. So if your parents don't want to go counselling with you, still it's worth seeing if you can go by yourself. If not, just really try and persuade them, you know, pitch it to them, tell them how much it would mean, or it's worth trying. Again, often people are skeptical about therapy. They're skeptical about how long it takes because normally you have about 6 sessions, I think. At least we do here in the UK. It's about 6 sessions that are free. And that's 6 weeks. It's a long time. It's a commitment. If you go, try and just suggest going once and seeing how it is. That way it's like, oh, fine, okay, we'll go for it once, see how it is. They might then become more open-minded. Tip number 4, find a way to express yourself. That doesn't mean necessarily to them, but it could be songwriting, writing poems, writing books, drawing, whatever works for you. But it's important to have an outlet, especially when living at home with parents who maybe don't understand anxiety. If they don't want to be supportive, or if they're in their own little world for a while and they can't offer you the support you need, take yourself away to your little sanctuary and try to just relax and be creative. I mean, songwriting was what worked for me. playing my guitar. If I was stuck at home, that's exactly what I'd do. Tip number 5, try and see what options you have. Okay, you don't have to live at home forever. I think one of the biggest issues with anxiety is feeling trapped, right? You can't live life as easily as other people. You know, it's difficult to go get a job anyway, let alone if you have anxiety, because you seem unreliable. That can make you feel like you don't have any options. That makes you feel like you have to stay in that awful situation. But you don't. There are options. If you do have those moments where you're feeling trapped, try to see where else you could go if you needed to. Obviously, make sure that the options that you choose are safe. So that doesn't mean just go hang out with some new people and then move in with them. You know, things like that aren't wise. But see what options you do have. See where you could go. Because you'll probably be surprised how many options you actually do have. It just takes time to really sit down and think. And also speaking to the people. Are there family members, other family members that you could move in with? Are there friends that you can move in with? Maybe you just need to wait until uni, then you can move out for university. You know, there are different options. There are different ways to get out. It's just a case of really focusing on that so that you can find the right ones for you. Anyway, I hope you found this video helpful. I hope these tips help in managing your anxiety a little bit with parents, and also hopefully finding ways forward so that you feel less anxious around them. If you have any other suggestions, leave them in the comments. Drop a like if you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.